Welcome to the Sleep Dives channel. Today we're looking at pages 454 to 487. We're going to go on a bit of a journey, climbing this ladder of collaboration. We'll start with some really simple tools to fix your very next meeting, and we'll climb all the way up to the big stuff, the principles used to unite even former enemies around a common goal.
It really all boils down to this one question. What is it that separates a team that just kind of gets the job done from one that truly innovates, learns, and just thrives? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, is all in the quality of their conversation and how well they can work together on deeper and deeper levels. So let's start on the very first rung of that ladder. We're talking about practical, simple tools that honestly anyone can use to immediately make their team's interactions that much better.
Okay, check this out. I love this because of how simple it is. It's a tool called the popular postmortem. And the idea is, at the end of a meeting, you just ask everyone to anonymously rate how they felt about it on a scale of 1 to 7. It's such a quick, low-stakes way to get a real pulse on how things are actually going.
So here's how it plays out. After you tally up the anonymous ratings, this is the crucial part, the inquiry. You invite anyone who gave a low score, say a 2 or a 3, to just explain why. And because it's anonymous, people feel safe enough to speak up. In one case, a manager mentioned an issue got skipped over. A quick 5-minute fix prevented a frustration that could have festered and soured team dynamics for months.
But what happens when a discussion gets stuck, or maybe a little too heated? Well, the tool here is just silence. And this isn't just an awkward pause. It's a deliberate technique to let all the noise settle down so you can tap into what the source calls the gathered mind. By just taking a few minutes to reflect, the group can often access this deeper, shared understanding that was just being drowned out by all the arguing.
All right, let's move up to the next level of collaboration. This is about tackling those hidden issues, the elephants in the room that everyone sees but absolutely no one wants to talk about. These are the things that quietly sabotage a team's progress. The source calls these undiscussables, those topics that are really important but are basically taboo because people are afraid of conflict. And they're a huge barrier to a team actually learning anything because, well, you can't solve a problem that you're not even allowed to talk about. And this just shows you how real these issues are. These are actual, anonymous examples from the source. The current strategic plan is underfunded. We have a problem with burnout. These are not small complaints. These are fundamental threats to a whole organization's success, just hidden in plain sight. Now, the real danger of leaving these things buried is that you can stumble right into the Abilene paradox. It's this bizarre situation where a whole group agrees on a course of action that, privately, not a single person actually wants. It's wild. Everyone's thinking one thing, but they all agree to go in a direction nobody wants just because no one dares to say what they're really thinking. It's a collective failure born from individual silence.
Let's climb another rung. Now we're moving beyond the specific topics, and we're going to look at the invisible patterns of behavior that shape how a team actually talks to each other. This is about seeing the hidden structure of conversations.
The source identifies 4 basic roles, or action stances, that people take in any conversation. You've got the mover, who starts things, the opposer, who challenges them, the follower, who supports, and the bystander, who observes. Now, in a healthy team, people can move between these roles pretty freely. The trouble really starts when people get stuck in one. So let's look at the case of a company they called Silent Hand. It is a really powerful story about what happens when a team becomes completely paralyzed because its members get trapped in these rigid roles.
Wow, you can just feel the tension in that dialogue. Tom, the co-founder, he's stuck in that mover role, always pushing ideas. His partner, Thompson, is locked into being the opposer, challenging everything. And what was once a creative partnership has just become this destructive, paralyzing pattern.
And it wasn't just them. The whole team got sucked into this dysfunction. Tom became this tyrannical mover, Thompson a silenced opposer, and pretty much everyone else was forced into these disempowered follower and bystander roles. The big takeaway here is that this is a system problem, a trap created by the structure of their interactions, not just a clash of personalities. So, how do we get out of these traps? Well, the next rung on the ladder shows us the way. We have to move beyond these simplistic roles and really learn to value the full, unique contribution of every single person. This quote from Michelle Hunt at Herman Miller it absolutely nails it. Real diversity isn't about putting people into boxes based on their gender or their background. It's about creating an environment where each person's unique, complex, multidimensional self is actually seen,
heard, and valued. For example, the team at Herman Miller started to recognize different communication styles. They noticed a tendency for some people to explore an idea from lots of different angles before making a decision, while others might be more immediately decisive. But here's the crucial point. These are just tendencies. They are not rigid stereotypes. The goal isn't to categorize people, but to build a mutual understanding of these different approaches.
And that brings us to the very top of the ladder. How do you align a group of really diverse, unique individuals, people who might even see each other as enemies, and unite them towards a common goal?
For the answer, we look at one of the most inspiring examples you could possibly imagine, the South Africa Forums. After the fall of apartheid, these forums brought together former antagonists, people from all across the political spectrum, to work together on redesigning the nation's most fundamental institutions.
And their process was just so elegant and powerful. First, they didn't start with the problems. They started by asking everyone to share their personal vision for the future of the country. Then they clustered these visions on a wall, physically grouping similar ideas, which made these huge areas of shared dreams visible to everyone. It was only then, once that common ground was rock solid, that they turned to the hard work of defining their current reality.
This quote from one of the forum leaders just captures the profound impact of that whole process. It shifted the entire group's focus away from a culture that was built on emphasizing division and toward a conversation that was grounded in their shared hopes for the future.
So what can you take away from all this? Well, you can start using these ideas right away. Try a popular postmortem. When a conversation gets heated, just suggest a moment of silence. Start noticing the mover, opposer, follower, and bystander roles in your own team. And for those really tough conversations, try starting not with the problem, but with the future that everyone wants to create together. Ultimately, the journey from a good team to a great one is all about learning to see and talk about the invisible forces that shape how we interact, the hidden frustrations, the undiscussable topics, the rigid roles, and the shared visions. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What is one invisible dynamic that you could help your team see?